Hello and welcome to the finishing line. I don't know what happened there. I'll try again. Hello and welcome back to the finishing line, proudly sponsored by Hollywood Bets. Andrew is back from his hiatus, and we have Tom in the Hollywood Bets phone booth as ever.
He is the phone booth. He like Superman, sponsored by Hollywood Bets.
So, while the flat season is in its middle and kicking on into the summer months, I am going to do a little bit more presenting so Andrew can take a well needed break and try and give some shit tips.
That's but true. I take it on the chin.
And yeah, we're going to use my flat knowledge, and I don't know why stuff sticks in my brain because not much of a brain in there, but there you go. Tom, how are you? How was England? And you were over there doing your thing.
England was good. It was my grandfather's memorial, so that wasn't exactly ecstatic or anything, but all went off very well. Good to catch up with family and friends, and had a nice stay in a couple of hotels. They're very nice over there. Good to be back. Two Pimlico horses entered for this week. Back kicking off the new season, living the dream. Yeah.
Who's
Andrew,
entered?
you are. You may as well answer that, Tom. So,
What did you say? Who are they?
Sorry for saying.
So Cotty's entered in 2 races at Clonmel on Thursday. Confirmed tomorrow morning which one should run in and stuff. And Cool Arcade is also entered, but he's way too high in the ballot. So he'll get entered for Wexford on Saturday and hopefully gets into there. And we'll see how we go.
fingers crossed.
Lovely.
Andrew, you were also in England sampling another Brentford game, and I think that's 3 for 3 for you. Anytime Tom has gone, they've got beaten, and anytime Andrew's gone, they've scored 3 and 4 goals and look like world beaters. And the kids look like they enjoyed it too.
See, they had the time of their life, Dave, to be honest with you. We brought them to Legoland, we brought them into M&M World and the Brentford game, where Tom seems to be the biggest troll walking God's green earth when he walks into the stadium.
I literally haven't seen him score a goal. I've been to 2 games against Crystal Palace and Newcastle, and they can't score a goal against them.
I've seen 2 goals in the space of 45 seconds on Saturday. It was fantastic.
Mental. I'm already. I was getting requests at the weekend from family members of what tickets they want for next season.
Head off out of it now, you. I have my hand on the United games, the Liverpool games. I might take it if we go.
Yeah, you're fine. I've got requests for Aston Villa and Bournemouth. So.
That's all right. I'll sort that out for you.
I said I doubt there's anyone else going to want to go and watch that. So yeah,
but you know what? They're the games to go to because they're more open and back and forward than they will be sitting back against the likes of Liverpool's, Man City's, and all that. There's a more atmosphere there because they have more chance of winning.
I've been to Newcastle and Crystal Palace and they haven't scored. You're not selling it to me.
Well, they scored 3 on Saturday, and it was. Look, when they win there, the place be rocking. They'd be singing Hey Jude and Free from Desire after the game. Good times.
Yeah, it looked class now, to be fair.
And they're safe. Up the bees.
They look good. Right, we'll kick on what we're doing here. The flat racing. We've a few topics to discuss. We're going to go into Aidan O'Brien's form and Ryan Moore's form, who they've been flying the last couple of weeks. On that, we're going to look at the Derby market and the trials over the last couple of weeks. Same with the Oaks. If the lads have a selection for the Derby or the Oaks, then they can give that. We'll touch on Wednesday at York. If Andrew or Tom have a selection or just the Dante Festival in itself, another couple of trials, Oaks trial and a Derby trial, and then they should be all set for going forward. And then we have an ante-post pick for Royal Ascot that I asked the lads to come up with as well. So we'll finish off with that then. We'll all tip a horse for Royal Ascot, which isn't going to be too far away, to be honest. Middle of June, which will come around pretty quickly. First off, let's touch on Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. Probably didn't have the very best of seasons last year. That was coming on the back of maybe Ryan not riding to the best of his ability the end of the previous year in the Arc and when he went over to Breeders' Cup and so on and so forth. But they've hit the ground running this year. A lot of Aiden's horses would come on for their first run, but a lot of them are winning anyway, and then are even winning more spectacularly on their second run, like Stone Age yesterday at Leopardstown. What do you think he's done differently, Tom, if anything, or just maybe a bit of a poorer season last year? Maybe it's to do with the horses the previous year with COVID being a little bit slow to come in and stuff. But have you any info or inkling on what's going on this year?
No info. I can't imagine he's changed it too much. But sometimes trainers do that. Like I remember Henry saying about Honeysuckle, for the Morgiana, like the year she scraped home, and he was like, "Oh well, I made sure I had her a lot fitter the next year." So it came out and she looked like a world beater, but it just that she was a lot fitter. So it seems to me, I don't know. It's obviously the same dates every year, but there doesn't seem to have been much of a run in now up to the Guineas or up to the Derby. So I wouldn't say Aidan O'Brien is doing much different than he's done any year. He just seems to have a lot of good horses this year. The form they were in at Chester was unbelievable. I think we went through it. It was like 5 runners, 5 winners, something like that.
He had 5 runners, 5 winners. Ryan had 11 rides and 8 winners, and I think 2 seconds as well. So
he rides that place. We touched on as well last week. He rides that place unbelievably. He was excellent last week. So look, I just think it just clicks sometimes, doesn't it? The two of them are just on fire, and you'd have to stick with them now for where we go for the rest of the season. But it's also interesting because Charlie Appleby is on absolute fire as well. So
he is very much so. Yeah.
It looks like we're going to have a good season. The two powerhouses are really on form. So yeah, good season ahead.
Andrew, do you have any feelings on this? How Ryan Moore is riding at the moment? He's really at the top of his game.
Yeah, look, every sports people, they go through a bad patch. They're only humans. But look, class will always come out at the end of the day. And look, the rides he was giving horse at Chester, they were phenomenal. And he's brought that to every race course this year. Like on Sunday, he was so good on Stone Age at Leopardstown from the front. Look, he can do it from anywhere, from the front, back, middle. Look, he's had the riding in the last 14 days. He had 50 rides. He's had to win on 20 of them. That's a 40% strike rate. That's world-class form straight there. And look, Aidan's horse has obviously been in form, has helped that. He's had 14 winners in the last 14 days. And that's been 3 Group 3s, 2 listed races and a Chester Cup on top of that. It kind of works in tandem. When Aidan's in form, it kind of boosts up Ryan's. Ryan's probably his, not ego, but his confidence comes up and he feels like anything he's on, he can win with. And look, it might have something as well, mentality-wise, to do with probably Josh being in the hospital. He might have taken life for a bit granted in the position he was in over the last few years, and now the position that Josh is in hospital right now might give him a little kick up the arse and saying, Jesus Christ, that could have been me. And he's had to put in an extra bit of work in. And look, sports people, they do drop back when they hit the heights because it takes so long to get there. It's harder to stay up there than to get there. So it might be something to do with that. But look, Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore this year are a duo that you'd be stupid to go against.
Yeah, look, I thought they'd have a good season. I think it's fair to be critical of sports stars on forums like we have here in the podcast when they're not performing. He probably didn't have the best seasons last year, but he's well and truly putting it behind him this year. So, and I agree with Tom. Charlie Appleby, William Buick have been flying too. So the two big powerhouses seem to be collision course all summer, and that's a good thing for the racing because it should make
here's
it competitive.
the thing I'll put to you now. With the start they've having, we know Aiden's been over the years prolific for giving a horse a run at the start of the season. Most have been hitting the ground running this year. Like he's probably have to be putting a bit of extra work into him, but come this kind of, we know he kind of peaks again around the autumn time with Champions weekends and all that. Will he be able to keep doing this now if they're running at this level at so early in the season? Because we've seen that happen at the start of the jump season, where horses are winning these, I say, not mediocre grade ones, but early season grade ones, and then they come up to against more seasoned horses. I know it's kind of different on the flat, but they don't really hold their form throughout the season. I think that'll be the case again, but with these horses.
He would generally have a lull at some point in the season because he tends to train for, kind of up to Royal Ascot and the Coral Eclipse, and then he'd give a lot of them maybe 6 weeks off and bring him back towards the end of the season, and then like the Arc and the last big meetings. So I would expect him to for his form to die off a little bit and come back, but it's hard to know.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think, as you were saying, Dave, they come back then for Champions Day, the Breeders' Cup, the Arc meeting. There is that, as we were talking about the other day, that lull in the season right in the middle after Royal Ascot for a few weeks, and that gives them an opportune time to get a break in. So no, they're in fine form. Are we going to talk about the L word, Dave? Is it a bit sore for you still, or?
Yeah, look, we'll move on to the next point. That's pretty much part of that, and it's talking about the Derby trials and who maybe we fancy, and the few races that we've seen already. We have one kind of big trial left, which is the Dante on Thursday, but pretty much they're all done then, kind of starting with the Guineas. He obviously got the news that Luxembourg is not going to take his chance, and to be honest, I didn't fancy him after seeing him at the Guineas. I thought he looked too gangly in the dip. He ran on, but I didn't think he hit the line that strong, so I was against him. I think me and Tom fancy the same horse for the Derby, but like we've seen changing in the guard, Chester, Aiden mopped up those two races. United Nations won at Linkfield. We've had Pisbadil win kind of the early season Derby trial at Leopardstown, and then the proper Derby trial yesterday was won by Stone Age. She won that quite impressively, pretty much similar to what Balshot Ballet did last year. So we've seen a lot of the horses. Andrew, who I think I know who you like for the Derby, but what do you think of the trials? Aiden's horses, do you see any other horse getting into it at a bigger price?
Well, we start with Aiden. Look, 6 out of the last 10 winners have come from Ballydoyle. So, look, stats say he's going to play a big hand in it. But the thing that strikes me, just looking back at it, like the past few winners, is the prices really. So it's not unheard of to go away from the top of the market. There's only been 3 winning favourites in the last 10 years, and that's been Golden Horn, Australia, and Camelot. And the rest have been at a year 16, Serpentine 25s, Anthony Fanchoice 13-2, Massar 16s, Wins the Eagle 40s, and 32, and so on. But look, it's no secret. I talked to you about Stone Age even from last year. I never thought he turned out to be a Derby horse, but he's a horse I really took to last year. Look, he came into this season a maiden. He bolted up in his maiden. Started this season, then he went on to win the trial then at Leopardstown over the weekend. Done it really well from the front. Strikes me a horse that just loves galloping from the front. He's a horse that I think the more races he gets into, typical Galileo, as you would say, Dave, he just thrives on racing. And I think the more he progresses into the season, the better horse we're going to see. So look, I know he's 5-2 favourite now, but to me, you probably get bigger on the day. But to me, he's the one that they're going to have to beat right now. So he's the one I'd be looking at.
Tom, I'd say I know who you like, but have you any further to go on this? What do you think of Stone Age and maybe some of the other Aidan O'Brien ones?
Look, Stone Age was very good, wasn't he? He was unbelievable in his maiden, but beat nothing. And then he's come out at Leopardstown and bolted up. But is this another Bolshoi ballet? Is the thing, who did a similar thing at Leopardstown? I don't want to get too drawn in. Duke de Stessa is kind of the form link with who is my fancy piece per deal. And look at the prices now. Yeah, 9-4, 5-2. Stone Age, and you can still get 8-1, 7-1 about piece per deal. I'd be taking piece per deal all day long. I love the way he did it at Leopardstown. We put him up that day. I think both of us did, Dave. And he really ground it out and put his head down. Buckaroo has come out and franked the form. He only beat Shorthead that day. He bolted up in a listed race at the Curragh. He looks a nice horse as well. So I think the form is strong. And
is there any word on him actually going there, Buckaroo? He's a horse I really like as well.
I don't know about Buckaroo going there, no.
I don't know either.
They dropped him back to a mile last time, so it doesn't look like that's the kind of thing they'd want to do with a Derby prospect. But just on Pease Badil, like he's by Ulysses, and I remember Ulysses retiring to stud and thinking he'd make a lovely sire. He had those battling qualities I really like, and he's put them into this lad. I think that kind of price, I'm very happy to take a chance on him. I think he'll handle the course as well. And yeah, I think Stone Age for me is getting over bet now. Desert Crown has got to come out now in the Dante. Typical, they've latched onto a Sir Michael Stout horse, and then is then going to the Dante. So I'm sure if he wins, there'll be even more money on him. And I think Peace Badil will go a bit under the radar because he's trained by Dunaker as well. So.
One at a bigger price there, Dave, before you go on, is Charlie Hill, Sonny Liston, at about 40-1. He's one I think it'll go in there on the radar, the bigger price. He seems to be a horse that might try for a race like this, so that's another one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, look, for me, I thought all the trials were pretty impressive. I expected some of the Aidan O'Brien horses to win some of them, maybe not all of them. They're pretty much all by Galileo as well. Just shows you what a loss he was last year when he passed away. They all are so genuine. They all stayed the trip well. I respect Stone Age, and I'm not surprised Aidan has the favourite. But for me, in the shorter prices, I'd be with the same horse as Tom Pisbadil. He should be unbeaten. He should be 3 from 3. He should have won that race he lost last year as a 2-year-old. I think there was a mad stat when he won at Killarney. It was the first winner for Ulysses, and it was pretty late into the summer. But Ulysses himself didn't really start becoming a top-level horse till he was a 4-year-old and the back end of his 3-year-old career. And I think his stats with 3-year-olds is fairly impressive as well. So a lot of them are winning now as 3-year-olds, fillies and colts, whereas this chap was good enough to win as a 2-year-old and should be unbeaten. I think he's pretty good. He's still in a decent each-way price. And then the other one for me is the Rogerian horse Aidan in the same colours as Mishriff. He won his maiden at the Craven meeting, I think, and then ran fourth in the Guineas. Guineas is always a good trial. Stayed on. He was the one I took out of the Guineas more so than Luxembourg. He's big, huge colt. Definitely wants further than a mile. And he was hitting the line strong. So I think he has a decent enough chance, but I do respect the favourite Stone Age. He was very good yesterday. So it's shaping up to be a decent enough race. The
thing I like with Stone Age as well is
his favourite.
He wasn't favourite when I liked him before, and I picked more wins than you should shut up. No, but the thing I do like about him is, look, he's at the run in 2 Group 1s already, so he's at the run at this level before. So that's going to stand to him. And I think, again, I just think he's this horse is going to keep improving with age, and that experience that he got at St. Cloud and Longchamp are going to stand to him. And look, he goes on any ground as well. He was beaten a length and a half on very soft ground in France, and he's won on good ground. And he probably didn't go that well on heavy ground, but and more or less any kind of weather or ground that's going to turn up at Epsom, he's going to handle it as well.
Yeah, and look, Tom touched on probably the other one, Desert Crown. He's been slashed in price just because he's running in the Dante, and he's trained by Michael Stout. And Stout has, targeted that race before, but it's just a prime example of what we've given out about all year regards ante-post betting over the jumps. He should never be the price he is for the Derby because he's won a maiden at Nottingham. This form is not super strong. He could be a very good colt. He's by Nathaniel. He'll get the trip, but he's a very hard race ahead of him on Thursday in the Dante. I mean, if he wins that, then slash him. But he's already been slashed, and if he wins the Dante, he'll probably end up being favoured. So,
what's the last decent horse Michael Stout had? Proper good horse. I don't know now. I'm asking, just literally asking.
Ulysses.
Ulysses, and probably the last decent 3-year-old he had was maybe Tartan Bear or Conduit in the the Ballymacall stud colours. They're kind of nearly white with the yellow.
He's a trainer. I always seem to see that his horses do get over bet a lot for some reason.
He's better with older horses. He can train them into their kind of 5- and 6-year-old careers, but he wouldn't have loads of Derby horses in the recent memory anyway.
Poet's Word and Crystal Ocean. Crystal Ocean is the one there to stick out as one of his good ones recently.
Joseph Connolly is right. He had Workforce as well, who won a Derby and an Arc, but was also betting the Dante before that. So, okay, we'll move on from the Derby. We'll talk about the Oaks. We also have kind of the last Oaks trial coming up on Wednesday in Musadora at York. And in that race, and we get on to York, but in that race, we've I think she's favourite, Emily Upjohn, John Goslin's horse. And then again, Aidan has loads of fillies in this, as he always does every year. Andrew, have you any strong fancies for the Oaks at the moment, or where are you looking, outsider or top of the market?
No.
Fair enough.
I literally can't make head nor tails of this yet. We have, I think, don't have a bet in front of me. I think Thursday is favourite. And she's, what was she, third? Tuesday, whatever day of the week it is. She's favourite on the back of being placed in the Faith McGuinness. And then Emily Upjohn, who bolted up the last day at Sandown. And then I think she's running on Wednesday. There's a load of them in there. We don't know what's there. We don't know what's going to improve. As of right now, I haven't the foggiest, and that's been totally honest.
Tom, what are you thinking?
So my opinion on this race goes, Emily Dickinson was my one for it. She really disappointed me at Limerick, Jesus. At Lingfield. Yeah.
Lingfield.
She really disappointed me at Lingfield, to be honest. I thought she was a certainty that day. And better accordingly. So that was a shame. And the other one is the Algarve, just because I'm thinking about going on holiday this year.
Oh, nice. Bring the whole family.
Nice.
Yeah. Gotta go somewhere cheap because I gotta bring them all,
Yeah, it's not cheap, trust me.
I'll go on my own next year. I'll go somewhere nicer.
For me, I think the two fillies that raced each other in Chester the other day, the grey filly trained by Aidan in the Myglaire studs colours, and Joseph's above the curve. I think they'll run decent races in the Oaks, but I genuinely think Emily Upjohn will win the Oaks. I think she'll win the Musadora on Wednesday. The way she won at Sandown by 9 lengths, it's just rare to see it on the flat. There's a horse that was, I think, 8 in that race has already come out and won by like 16 lengths at Kempton on the all-weather. I just think it was a phenomenal performance. Good sire, see the stars, so she definitely get the trip. And her dam is related to like a decent enough Aga Khan family that has Harzand in there somewhere along the way. So I think the trip is no problem. I think it may be one of the reasons that John Gosling's not rushing back in Spiral as well, because he thinks he might have the Oaks in hand with Emily Upjohn. But yeah, I do think she's a decent bet.
All joking aside, Dave, she was mightily impressive.
Oh, so impressed.
Impressed. I think Frankie got off her and was very excited that day. She's by Sea the Stars. She could be anything. She even managed to win at Wolverhampton on debut with Rab Havlin on her back. So she must be an absolute aeroplane.
Wow. Yeah, that's how you feel.
So yeah, no, she was mightily impressive. John Gosling's in. We should say John and Fady Gosden are both in fantastic form.
What's the story with that?
They're all getting their sons involved because then they're passing on the license to their son. Then
just pass it on when you retire.
Yeah, well, they're on the way to being retired.
You would think that. I don't really get it myself.
Okay, so we'll move on to. We'll just touch on York for the week ahead. If you have any selections, and Stradivarius is supposed to be running Friday, so Strad and the Big Willie could be back out.
Who?
Strad and his Big Willie.
Oh, such a big good.
Some decent horses running in the sprint. I think Dragon Symbol is running, who has changed trainers. Not trained by Archie Watson anymore. It's trained by Roger Varian, I think.
Still give up on these.
Probably should have had a couple of Group 1s last year. Really disappointed me a few times. Dante looks like a really good race. The Musadora looks like a good race, but I think it's Emily Upjohn's to lose. Andrew, have you any selections or horses you're looking forward to seeing on Wednesday through Friday?
Well, I'll only touch on Wednesday because we'll cover the rest of it on Wednesday. One that I am looking forward to seeing is actually Happy Romance. She's a horse that I've taken to on the flash. She's run a decent race at the top level. And she was last seen finishing behind KCU in Dubai, who arguably now is the best sprinter in Europe. Look, she comes in here, race fitness on her side. She's currently 92.5-1. I think that's as Tom would say, an each way bet not. She's improved a lot. She's listed race Group 3 winner. She was 1 length fourth in the Group 1 behind Amarashiana last season. I think she shows the same form she's after showing in the 2 runs this season. I think she could be hard to beat. I can't have Dragon Symbol as favourite. Change the yards. After having so many chances last season, there's a time and a place. You just have to say enough's enough. So I think Happy Romance about 5-1. She will do for me in the sprint.
Tom, what are you thinking?
I am going to tip up Emma Yakiana. Just because
I actually knew you were going to do it.
Yeah, I love Emma Yakiana. I'm not saying it wrong, guys. By the way, that's what we nicknamed. I nicknamed the horse.
Show and you think we're missaying horses' names? No, we purposely call them these names.
And I think it took a couple of runs last year for me to realise that Emma Yakiana was actually a gelding, which sums up my tipping on the flat. Although River Nymph ran a bloody good race, Dave, in the Victoria Cup.
He did, Tom. And Accidental Agent, who I thought was going to get up, but just didn't manage to get there. But for looking ahead to Royal Ascot, I would say be drawn against that rail and you're flying.
Did you see how spin today that Jim Crowley was it? What Jim Crowley? Pat Cosgrove or someone won today on in. Oh, sorry, come back to me. I get it. I really took me away. Sorry.
Emma Yakiana though does have 10 stone 1 is the only thing. So no, I can see running a good race without winning. But 11-1 is a fair price. Dragon Symbol is going to be interesting, isn't he, for Roger Varian? Archie Watson is a very, very good trainer, so I'm sure he's very disappointed to lose him. But it'd be interesting to see can he get his head back in front.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Wednesday myself. I think that's a really good race. That sprint pretty much would be better than a lot of grade 1s, I'd say, towards the end of the year. You have 4 grade 1 horses in it. Yakiana, Happy Romance, Dragon Symbol, and Minzal, probably one of the only Memas colts that has trained on into a 3-year-old. He was good last year. He was injured and then came back, so it'll be interesting to see him, seeing as he's getting a full season. I'm looking forward to see Emily Upjohn, and sure we'll touch on it Wednesday, but if Point Lonsdale runs in the Dante, that's who I'd be siding with in the Dante. He's a brother to Broome. He's slow. There was no way he was going to win the 2,000 guineas. I think you see a better horse up in Trip. So York looks good this week.
That horse was Cashy Come Home. She won the 145 in Musselburgh today. 2-year-old by Cardboard. Paul Rumrellen got off it and he said, "This is the best 2-year-old I sat on in a long, long time."
Well, there you go.
That's what you were doing today then, sat watching God knows what, wherever that race goes.
I was on my lunch. It was 145 in Musselburgh. More than you do. Traveling and losing 50 grand and then panicking. That's the best text ever.
Okay, so we'll finish off today's talking points by going for our ante-post early Royal Ascot pick. And I will go first, seeing as it was my idea. And my one is in the Coronation Stakes on the Friday, the Group 1 mile race for fillies, and it's Jesse Harrington's Discoveries. Didn't run all out well at Newmarket. I would forget that run. Maybe early season needed a run and probably didn't handle the track. Both her sisters have won the Coronation Stakes, Alpha Centauri and Alpine Star. I would imagine she'll probably run in the Irish 1,000 guineas, and if not, go for this race. She looks a miler. If she doesn't run too well, or maybe until Ascot, she'll probably be a forgotten horse. But Jessie done it with both her siblings, so I think she can do it again with Discoveries. Tom, you're next.
I'm next. Fantastic. I've got.
Sounds so excited. Just pretend it's Cheltenham. Put in your head you're putting up something for Cheltenham.
I've actually got two. Now, I won't lie, I got a little bit of help off someone who knows a lot more about the flat than I do. So, the first one...
text again, Dave.
No, on me.
No, it wasn't you. The first one we're putting up is a horse called Maljoom of Willie Haggis's. 2 from 2, won well at Doncaster, and then came out and ran an incredibly fast time at Kempton. Only a 4-runner race that day, but the time figures on it are insane. Ran to a Racing Post rating of 106. Has a rating of 101. Now it's entered in the St James's Palace Stakes, which is 20-1 for. It's going to have to go a little bit. It's going to have to prove about a stone again to go and trouble those horses. I was wondering, would they put him into a handicap, in a mile handicap off of 101? And if they do, I think Maljoom will have a good chance. And the other one is a horse called Bay Bridge of Sir Michael Stoutes. Hasn't been seen this season. Won 4 races last year. Won all 4 of its races last year. Ended up winning a listed race at Newmarket to an RPR of 117. Looks like a Hardwick horse to me. And Sir Michael Stoute, that's the kind of that'd be kind of his route, wouldn't it? Is entered in the Hardwick. I think it could go there and perhaps go on to better things. Interesting to see. I don't know what price it'll be for that, but yeah, they're my 2 anyway. Bay Bridge for the Hardwick and Maljoom, either St James's Palace each way or a handicap.
Andrew finishes off with a surefire winner.
Surefire winner. I'm going to go for the race that I done well in last year. Ascot Gold Cup, and we're going for the Princess. Good old Princess Zoe. She is currently 10-1 with Hollywood Bets, which I think is massive right now. She's 6-1 with a lot of other firms. Look, we know we have a love for Princess Zoe here, but look, her win last time at Ascot, she done quick turn for a head over 2 miles. We know she stays the trip. She was second in the Ascot Gold Cup last year behind the Absolute Freak that was subjectivist. She lost her form kind of last year, but I think they've kind of realised what way she needs her kind of breaks between races. So she's been put away now until Ascot again. She's at the show now. She goes on any ground. She won on Good to Firm the last day. She was second on Good to Firm in the Ascot Gold Cup. She was there. She won a Group 1 in France on heavy ground, so you have no ground worries whatsoever with her. I know she has to find form with Trushan and Longchamp run, but back at Ascot, I think that track plays to her strengths. We've seen it again there at the end of last month. So I think a 10-1, she's a massive price right now, because I think she'll go off a lot shorter on the day, because it's not a race that's riddled with strength and depth. Besides Trushan, you have then an 8-year-old Stradivarius who, God only knows how he's going to be this year. Earl of the Cotswold is one that's been improving a lot for Nigel Twiston-Davis on the Flash. He could be another one at bigger price. You have likes of high definition Kripos, who could be flying the ointment, but he's a lot shorter than Princess Zoe right now. You've Warsworth, who bombed out in that race behind Princess Zoe. Burn and Victory, Search for a Song, who we all know is going to be aimed for another Irish St. Leger. So 10-1 Princess Zoe for the Ascot Gold Cup. I think you can have worse 10-1 shots than that right now.
Yeah, I think that's a good each way shout, because Trushan, although he's pretty good, he's very ground dependent, and if it's quick ground, he won't be running, I wouldn't think. And I'd say Aidan's best chance with that is Cleveland, that won last week in the Chester Cup. So it's a good shout. They're good picks, man.
Thanks, boss.
You're very welcome. We shall leave it there. Leave it on that note till Wednesday, and we will be back with selections for York and some selections for the weekend. The Lockinge is on the weekend. I know people very much like Baid last year. The miler trained by William Haggis. He looked like pretty much a superstar a couple of times last year and went unbeaten. So he's back at Newbury in the 4-year-old above mile race, Group 1. And we have a lot to look forward to if you like the flat. So
we love the flat, Dave. Don't we, Tom?
It's not quite the jumps, but it'll keep us going till October or September time.
I'm actually looking forward to this year. I'm at getting properly stuck into it.
Nah, it's been a good start to the flat, I have to say.
No what's have to get me around to it. Ever since Hollywood Bets sponsored a few the Group 3s and all that up at the Curragh, it's had to get me into it a bit. When you're there, you get roped into it a bit more. So I'm a bit more excited this year, I'd say, at least.
You're finding affinity with a couple of horses. Subjectivist got you last year. You have Stone Age this year and Lafayette. So,
what a legend!
Talking to the Curragh, Andrew, I had a nice morning up in the Curragh recently, and opened my eyes to. We won't say who it was with just yet. Opened my eyes to the flat racing scene and all this. Outpulled this trainer pulled out free ponies as far as I was concerned when you're used to looking at all the national hunt horses. But yeah, might be tempted into a yearling for next season. We'll see.
Did you watch any horses work?
Not work. No, just cantering.
Was the grey lad leading them? He has a grey horse that leads all the lots. Yeah,
no, not the older horse. No.
Oh, he's a fruitcake. He acted like a 2-year-old when I was up there.
And
I was getting the treatment now. I was in the back of the Jeep and all this kind of shit. So yeah.
As ever, Tom is wheeling and dealing, and we'll have more famous people to have drinks with, and we'll leave me and Andrew behind as always. And on that note, we will leave it there. See you Wednesday.